All right, this is part two of the DNC Cringe Fest. I'm going to start with the senior citizens here. Just to let you know, these guys have a lot of years in Washington, and they're really old, and they're considered like the older voices in the DNC. This is Bernie Sanders. He's a senator from Vermont. Um, Considers himself a socialist. I think he's more a communist. Some people say he learned his communism on a Soviet-style kibbutz in Israel in the early 1960s. But there is a funny story about him from the early 70s when he was a socialist and he was sent to this commune in Vermont to do a story for some publication. And it was about natural childbirth and breastfeeding versus formulas and hospital births, and that's all well and good. But anyway, while you're on the commune, he was there for 3 days. While you're on the commune, you're supposed to work and, do your fair share, which he did not do. In fact, all he talked about was the coming revolution and Ho Chi Minh. So what happens is the head of this commune kicked him off the commune. I mean, the communists couldn't last in a commune because he didn't want to do the work. So kind of explains communism and Bernie Sanders. But here we are.
We need an economy that works for all of us, not just the billionaire class.
Yeah, okay.
We need...
The reason I put that up there is because he says that in every speech. Anytime you hear Bernie Sanders talk, you're going to hear that. Let's bilk the millionaires. Let's bilk the millionaires. Doesn't explain how he's going to do it. Doesn't explain how much. But you're going to always hear about billionaires and their fair share. And, there was an old Saturday Night Live clip, I think it involved Dan Aykroyd, where he was a guy walking around with this person had to walk behind him with a drool cup and catch his drool. It was really gross. That's going to be Bernie Sanders in like 5 years from now. All right, next up, Elizabeth Warren. She's worth about $7.5 million. She's a Massachusetts senator. Don't really know what she's done in the Senate except run for president once, I think. Didn't go too well. A pretty nice house there. Don't know how she accumulated that $7.5 million. But, whatever. She was an academic before she got into politics. She was some kind of professor at Harvard University. But, all right, we're going to sort of listen to her. But here we go. Oh, she's crying. All right, don't know what that was all about, but seriously, that went on for about a minute and a half. So, let's just move on. That was sickening. Okay, whatever. All right, now, Jesus Christ. Nancy Pelosi, she's been in the House of Representatives since Ronald Reagan in 1987. She's worth over 100, I think 112 million or 115 million dollars. Funny story about her. There was a story that when she walked on stage for the DNC speech, something dropped out of her pants. Now, an aide or somebody on the stage says it was one of her note cards, which is funny because there's teleprompters in front of them, but it was a note card. And she whatever, it fell out. Other people say that it suspiciously looks like a piece of toilet paper. Now, I don't want to envision, Nancy Pelosi sitting on a toilet backstage taking a pee and not wiping herself correctly. But, it's just kind of funny. I don't really think it was a note card. I think it may have been a piece of toilet paper. Maybe it was stuck to her shoe. It happens. Or, maybe she just didn't wipe herself correctly. Happens when you get a little bit older there. I mean, she's up there. She's 84 or 85 or something like that. But we're going to listen to her. And this is like, this is going to be typical. Okay, ready?
January 6th was a perilous moment for our
Jesus,
democracy.
Here we go.
Never before had a president of the United States so brazenly assaulted the bedrock of our democracy, so gleefully embraced political violence, so willfully betrayed his oath of office. Let us not forget who assaulted democracy on January 6th.
He did.
He did. But let us not forget who saved democracy that day.
We did.
We did.
All right. A couple of things here.
January.
Shut up. First of all, Nancy. Oh, Jesus. She's coming up next. First of all, Nancy, the Capitol building is not the bedrock of democracy. The Constitution of the United States is the bedrock of democracy. We are a form of democracy called a constitutional republic. We're a republic. We're not a pure democracy. So we need to get off that nonsense. And they're going to be talking about this a lot. Now, no, Donald Trump did not tell people to go to the Capitol and riot. He told them to go and peacefully let their voice, and patriotically let their voices be heard. Now, there may have been a few rabble-rousers in that crowd, and things may have gotten out of hand, and in some cases, things may have gotten violent. But every indication was that you and everybody else in the Democratic leadership knew that shit was possible to go down that day, and you failed to bring out the National Guard. You failed to put up fences. You failed to do anything to secure the Capitol. So, bullshit. I call bullshit on January 6th. Were there some bad people there? Probably. They're suffering for it. I don't think 20 years in jail is overdoing the suffering. But anyway, here we go. Hillary Clinton, $112 million. Okay, first of all, I've always noticed a Joker smile, but I never noticed, you look on the left side there, it looks like the Botox didn't kick in yet, right? But anyway, yeesh, my God. Former First Lady wasn't very nice to people, became a senator from New York, did nothing except get a few names slapped on a post office here and there. Then she decided, what was that? 2008, she decided to run for president. Really nasty campaign. She lost to Barack Obama, who was a do-nothing senator from Illinois. She licked her wounds, became Secretary of State, managed to fuck up the Middle East, and her reset with Russia didn't go very well. And then she licked her wounds for 4 years and then came out. And this has to be the ultimate insult. I mean, if you're Hillary Clinton, just go and hide under a rock. She lost to Donald Trump. But here she is at the DNC because they have to give her a speaking slot. Because, her hubby is going to be coming up. But here we go.
But carries with her the hopes of every child she protected, every family she helped, every community she served. So as president, she will always have our backs.
Yep.
And she will be a fighter for us. She will fight to lower costs for hardworking families, open the doors wide for good-paying jobs, and yes, she will restore abortion rights nationwide. As a prosecutor, Kamala locked up murderers and drug traffickers. She will never rest in defense of our freedom and safety. Donald Trump fell asleep at his own trial, and when he woke up, he made his own kind of history. The first person to run for president with 34 felony convictions.
Hey, God. Okay, well, two things there. You notice when...
Carrie.
Shut up. When she's talking about, protecting children and everything, there's a little tepid clapping here and there. And then restore abortion rights, like as in killing children in the womb. She gets a huge ovation there. And that shows you where the Democrats are coming from. As far as Trump and that trial went, everybody knows it was bogus. Everybody knows that the DA up there stretched the law. And everybody knows that the jury, come on, 12 people from New York, they're not going to be very conservative, okay? They're not going to be Trump supporters. So that's why they chose the trial where it is. That's exactly why the other charges were filed in Washington, D.C., because you're going to get the same thing, and I'm not too sure about a trial in Atlanta. But if the jury pool is drawn from Atlanta, chances are he'll be found guilty there. So it doesn't really matter, because it's all bogus anyway. It's all bullshit. And every time they charge him with something or he's found guilty of something, guess what happens? His poll numbers go up. And as for this guy, I mean, this is Alvin Bragg. This is the DA, the prosecutor up there in New York, who brought the charges against Trump, the hush money trial, the 34 felony counts, which, it's not a crime to pay somebody hush money, by the way. He stretched it into one. He's got two choices. He should either go back to law school and learn the law, or, he looks like he should be on the back of a sanitation truck, actually. But anyway, Bill Clinton, boy, what the fuck happened to the nose there, man? It's like he either fell and scraped up his face in this picture or something. I don't know. I don't know what those red marks are about. Maybe he was sticking his nose where it didn't belong, I don't want to get into his sexual proclivities here or anything, but I knew he's not looking good. Maybe it's herpes, I don't know. But anyway, we're gonna maybe it involved a cigar or something. I don't know. Anyway, here we go. Here's Bill.
To the Republicans and independents that have joined us, have been up front on stage, and I hope they feel better about it now, because I've seen all these things that even I have to be reminded of from time to time when I get my spirits down. I love seeing the Obamas here. I love seeing President Biden. And I thought Hillary gave a great speech. But I love seeing all these young leaders. A bunch of them are coming up after me.
Okay. Well, anyway, that was Bill Clinton. And I mean, the guy sounds bad. He looks bad. But you got to give it to him. The guy is good. He escaped the Me Too movement. I mean, that's not him. That's Jeffrey Epstein, his friend. But then again, if you had to wake up next to Hillary Clinton every morning, it kind of explains his sexual activity there, his extracurricular activity, for which he is quite famous. Okay, it's Barack Obama. Okay, this guy was an Illinois senator who did nothing, really. But he became president of the United States based on 2 autobiographies at a very young age and 1 good speech in 2004. And we're going to listen to him because that's what this is about. And here we go.
Donald Trump and his well-heeled donors, they don't see the world that way. For them, one group's gains is necessarily another group's loss. For them, freedom means that the powerful can do pretty much what they please. Whether it's fire workers trying to organize a union, or poison in our rivers, or avoid paying taxes like everybody else has to do. Well, we have a broader idea of freedom. We believe in the freedom to provide for your family if you're willing to work hard. The freedom to breathe clean air and drink clean water and send your kids to school without worrying if they'll come home.
All right, well-heeled donors. Okay, yeah, right. Okay.
Donald Trump and...
Did you realize that Miss Harris has brought in a shitload of money from well-heeled donors? Okay, so let's not get into that. Secondly, I know of no conservative whatsoever who doesn't want clean water and clean air, okay? He makes it sound like the Cuyahoga River is going to catch on fire if Donald Trump becomes president. And as for that, you know, the safe streets and walking home from school shit, that's just a dog whistle, Democratic dog whistle term for gun control. Yeah, most people in suburban areas don't care. You know, seriously, they're not. They get their kid on the bus and they pick them up, or they walk them to school. In Chicago, yeah, they may need a bodyguard to go with them, and that's his hometown, by the way. So maybe he should think about that. Now, next up, yes, we have to talk about this guy, Joe Biden. Dusted him off, pumped him full of amphetamine or something, and then threw him out in front of the audience at 11:30 p.m., way out of prime time. You know, he was supposed to be the keynote speaker on the first night because apparently he had to head off on vacation on Tuesday or something like that. But anyway, we're going to listen to him. And
President 2020, because of what I saw in Charlottesville in August of 2017. Extremists coming out of the woods, carrying torches, their veins bulging from their necks, carrying Nazi swastikas, and chanting the same exact anti-Semitic bile that was heard in Germany in the early 30s. Neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and the Ku Klux Klan, so emboldened by a president then in the White House that they saw as an ally. They didn't even bother to wear their hoods.
like Antifa.
Hate was on the march in America.
Like Antifa.
Old ghosts and new garments,
Goats.
stirring up the oldest divisions, stoking the oldest fears, giving oxygen to the oldest forces that they long sought to tear apart America. In the process, a young woman was killed. When I contacted her mother, I asked about what happened. She told me.
She got run over.
When the president was asked what he thought had happened, Donald Trump said, and I quote, "There are very fine people on both sides. My God." That's what he said. That is what he said and what he meant. That's what I read.
And that's no malarkey. Okay, well, no, that's not what he said. But anyway, first of all, Joe, you ran in 2020 because you were pushed to the side by Obama in 2016 in favor of Hillary Clinton because even the guy who was your boss, Barack Obama, thought you were a fuck-up. So, and you didn't have a chance. So, and we didn't even know if Trump was going to be the opponent in 2016 at that point. So, no, that's not. This was your last chance to run before, you know, the senility became even more apparent. So that's why you ran. It wasn't because of Charlottesville. Now, speaking of Charlottesville, which I will in detail in later episodes, what he's referring to here is the Unite the Right rally in a park down in Charlottesville. That was held on a Saturday. The night before, yes, there were some really not nice people who, quote-unquote, came out of the woods. They didn't come out of the woods. They came out of their cars and U-Haul van that was parked over at a ball field, walked across the campus of University of Virginia to a statue of Thomas Jefferson, the guy who founded the University of Washington, who also happens to be our third president. Anyway, they did the march. And yes, they did spew the bile and all that kind of stuff and everything. But you know what else happened that night? Virginia State Police Charlottesville City Police, University of Virginia campus police sat on a hill and watched it until things got out of hand. When they could have gone right up to those people and told them, you are trespassing, you don't have a permit, get the fuck off our property, and it would have been settled right there. We wouldn't have even seen the tiki torches and the khaki shirts and heard the bile and all of that stuff. So we're not talking, Joe, about what happened in Charlottesville the following day. What happened the following day was, there was a argument about, a disagreement about removal of a statue of Robert E. Lee in a park named after Robert E. Lee in Charlottesville. The Unite the Right people had a legal permit to have that rally there. The opponents, mainly Antifa types, did not have a permit. They had a permit to stay way away. But anyway, that's all it was about. It was about the removal of a statue that got out of hand. And I'm going to talk about Charlottesville in another episode. And some of, it was a clusterfuck from the law enforcement that day. But anyway, I got to relay a little story here. Where I was in Richmond one time, Richmond, Virginia, which was the capital of the Confederacy. And you could go to the Museum of the Confederacy down there, and good God, don't be triggered, because there's a lot of flags, Confederate flags hanging in there. Anyway, Richmond is also known as the capital of Confederate statues. And I was walking down the street, I know it was summertime, and walking down the street, just taking in the sights, whatever, with my wife, and there were these two black guys sitting on a bench. And so I went to ask them something, and my wife says, no, don't do that. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it, right? So I went and did it, and I asked them, does that statue of the Confederate soldier behind you bother you? And the two black guys, they looked at one another, started laughing, and go, we've been coming here 40 years, we don't pay that thing any mind. And that's basically Charlottesville in a nutshell, okay? It's not like the Unite the Right people were going to convince the city of Charlottesville not to take the statue down, whatever. We'll talk about that a lot later, but now so that's basically it. So here's Joe Biden again. This wouldn't be complete without two entries by Joe Biden. So here he is again, and we're going to listen to this thing.
Well, I love them, and I'm so proud of my son's service. We get it. But guess who doesn't get it?
Donald
and
Trump.
Doesn't respect our veterans.
Donald Trump.
We know from his own chief of staff, the four-star General John Kelly, that Trump, when in Europe, would not go to the grave sites in France. The brave service members who gave their lives to this country.
Jesus Christ.
He called them suckers and losers. Who in the hell does he think he is?
Who?
Who does he think he is? There's no words for a person. They are not the words of a person not worthy of being commander-in-chief. Period. Not then, not now, and not ever. I mean that.
No malarkey.
I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
No malarkey.
Just as no commander-in-chief should ever bow down to a dictator. The way Trump bows down to Putin. I never have, and I promise you, Kamala Harris will never.
He almost said I. That's funny. He almost said I. Well, anyway, so that's Joe Biden. Okay, first of all, Trump never said that, and it's been proven. 19 people said in that room said he never said that. But one guy apparently heard it, and Joe Biden believes it. But then Joe Biden probably believes the butterflies that talk to him in the Rose Garden. All right. As far as dictators go, I was trying to think about what the hell he was meaning by that, by Putin. But actually, Donald Trump was kind of tough on Putin, if you think about it. He never lifted any sanctions. He killed the Nord Stream pipeline, which was actually a cash pipeline to Vladimir Putin. But Iran, he was pretty much isolated. there's a dictatorship. And Trump talked to the guy from North Korea, but as far as I know, North Korea didn't do any atomic testing, nuclear testing. They didn't blow up any bombs underground, and they didn't launch any ballistic missiles, or not too many. Maybe they did. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to check on that. But anyway, no, he didn't bow down to dictators. Talk to people who are considered dictators, but he didn't bow down to them. Remember, what's his name over there? What's his name again? Barack Obama. I remember Barack Obama bowing down to the king of Saudi Arabia at one point. But, at least, and even if Trump did bow down to it, and he didn't, but let's just say he did, it's not as bad as Joe Biden bowing down to terrorists in Afghanistan. So, but anyway, that was Joe. He's your supposed president, right? And then they put him back in his coffin, put him on Air Force One, flew him off to California for a vacation. And then, he sat around on the beach and did nothing. I think he released one picture of him and the real president, Joe Biden, watching Kamala Harris' speech. All right, so that's it for now. Tomorrow will be the Cringe Fest Part 3, the new breed, the up-and-comers, and the freaks, and there's going to be some overlap there. Hope you watch it. Arrivederci, goodbye.